Welcome back to Decoding the Conflict Mindset. I'm Dr. Deborah Dupree, the Mindset Doc, bringing to you tips and strategies for how to understand conflict that we all experience. Well, the last couple of episodes, we've actually been focusing more on workplace issues and challenges, and we'll come back to that because we always do, but we're also going to talk a little bit about some of the challenges we all face. Today's guest speaker, Ronald Greenwald, is real estate professional extraordinaire that we met at a networking event some 10 years ago. And I was so impressed with his enthusiasm and passion and his innovative, creative ideas for something we all deal with, our aging parents. And we all have them, no matter how old or young we are. What intrigued me is that Ron was talking about innovative ways of working with aging adults as they contemplated where do they go as they continue to age. Do they stay at their home, as he calls it, age in place? Or another way to look at it is seniors stay or go. There are benefits to both and consequences of both. And so Ron illustrates that, and using his real estate background, he helps families working with their attorneys or fiduciary experts, etc., in taking a look at the practical aspects. Do I stay in my home as I continue to age? I don't want to go to a retirement home or a nursing home, but what are today's options? And so he brings incredible insight and light to that. And Ron has been in San Diego County for 30 plus years, but he has spoken extensively throughout many venues, and he's also a podcast host on a program called Senior Stay and Go. About 14 years ago, he partnered with a colleague, Patty Gerke, and they founded some programs like Senior Stay or Go, and have been prolific in really promoting options for seniors. And as Ron likes to call it today, the journey through life, making your last years the best years of your life. So don't go away, listen and learn. Grab in your friends, come and listen to this podcast coming up very soon because you will learn a lot. And Ron's just a delightfully entertaining kind of person. I've so enjoyed having him on my guest show. The podcast will start shortly. Don't go away. If you haven't already, subscribe, pass it on, get people involved. We look at conflict and decoding the mindset from a number of different directions. So you'll always learn and then live, apply it, and grow. We'll see you soon. Welcome to Decoding the Conflict Mindset. Hi, I'm Dr. Deborah Dupree, the Mindset Doc, and I'm so excited about this particular podcast series, Decoding the Conflict Mindset, because we have an opportunity to bring in experts from all walks of life in their particular professional services. And so we get a chance to really take a look at human behavior from the lens of those who deal with people, oftentimes in conflict. Today, I am so happy to bring a longtime associate, colleague, and friend, Ronald Greenwald. Welcome, Ronald.
Thank you for having me, Deborah. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today.
Well, thank you. I know it's been, we had a gap in connection for a while, and not just COVID driven, but we met through STAR of San Diego, Strategic Roundtable. You tell me, I can't remember anymore.
I have no remembrance.
Yep. But we oftentimes used to collect at the University Club downtown, and it was a great networking environment, and crossed our pathways. We were sort of attracted to each other's messages. And so here we are. We've reconnected.
Awesome.
Yep. Great. I do want to say a couple things, Ron, about your background, because I think it's really unique and could be of interest to our viewers and listeners before we launch into what I really want to talk to you about. Okay?
Sounds great.
You know, Ron, one of the things I was, so uniquely impressed by, and you pride yourself on, is that given your many years here in San Diego County and given the work you do in real estate, you really have learned the ins and outs of all our different diverse communities throughout San Diego County.
I've been through probably every nook and cranny of San Diego County, for sure.
Yeah. So that really lends incredible insight, knowledge, and awareness then of just, families facing struggles as they journey through life. We all are doing that, but getting there and really helping seniors and their families really make some informed and appropriate decisions.
As I say, it's been about a 12-year journey that I've been involved with working with seniors. And I've had the incredible honor and privilege of having great mentors to show me that direction back 10, 12 years ago. Mm-hmm. And as you know, I was a CPA coming out of Cal State Northridge 45 years ago, never thinking that in my 50s and 60s and beyond that I would be so motivated and inspired by our senior population.
No, that's incredible because, I mean, we see the stats, particularly the baby boomers, have been the largest portion of the population. That's declining some now as we do face the end of life. But we have, baby boomers today are more active, living longer, having more choices to make in the aftermath of working full time. And so it really is important that we address their needs in many more significant ways.
Well, the baby boomer, 1945 is our key date for those that know. And so 80, they turn 80 in 2025 or the start of that era. Mm-hmm. So Deborah, when I started working and advocating on behalf of seniors, we were still working with the World War II generation, my father, my mother, and that world. And now there's been just a huge shift of mindset as to the journey that seniors, and again, I'm 66, I'm a Medicare, but I'm not a senior.
Not in your mind.
Not in my mind. And I love it when the 87-year-old senior walks into a senior community as a possible alternative for their housing. And they go, oh, these are old people. Yeah. So, we really have to divide that 65. We have to divide that up into when do you really want to consider yourself a senior as opposed to an older adult?
Yes. Well, I hear you. I'm right in there with you too, Ron. And so, in fact, I'll share with you a quick story because I know we chatted a bit before we started the recording, but, I'm back in Minnesota right now visiting my extended family and had reached out to see somebody I hadn't seen for 11 years at another family member's funeral and said, let's get together for lunch. I'd love to see you, connect with you. And we've stayed connected loosely since 2011. While I'm having lunch with he and his wife, I'm supposed to be in Memphis right now, delivering a program yesterday, and it ended up getting canceled because of COVID and the severe thunderstorms that have been happening. And so they offered up, well, why don't you stay with us until your flight's ready to go back to San Diego? And so, wow, that's really kind. And so the thing is, I've had such a delightful time these last 2 days. She's a little younger than me. He's more like an older brother. It's almost a quasi-uncle. But I'm sitting in the countryside of southeastern Minnesota, but we've been reveling in our stories from our childhood and how he watched me grow up and now where he is. And he has a big farming operation and he's still working, even though he's officially retired. And just talking about that and some of the challenges he's faced. So, and where might he be going in future years to come? So it's really relevant, my 2 days right now, to our topic today.
Well, as I say, if I could part any wisdom in this podcast, it would be to have those open discussions of your wants, your wishes, your dreams as you age. So your family does know, because tomorrow we don't know what's going to happen to us. And and that is what as I say, through the COVID, we're still in that world and that space, but it's now really put on steroids in terms of the isolation that too many of our older adults are facing and they're in, and their life situation, their life demographics, their family dynamics have changed dramatically for good, bad, or indifferent. Mm-hmm. And do they really have an understanding of what they want and their wishes? And does their family, does their children, grandchildren know what they want?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, he shared with me many stories as families and members of his family have transitioned and some of the difficulties that they've faced and the shock of it all. In fact, one of my forthcoming podcast guest speakers, Louise Phipps-Senft, has a podcast called In the Blink of an Eye. And she talks about, just like you said, things have changed like that. And so it's important to have some idea of where we're going. So I do want to say, before I really ask you my first question, is that to give our viewers and listeners an idea of your wealth of experience and excellence in the field, you actually have been awarded the Circle of Excellence Award from the San Diego Association of Realtors in not only 2016, but 2017, 2018, and 2019. And so that's pretty amazing. I would like to ask you to just share a little bit more about what's that award all about.
It's based on the number of transactions and dollar volumes we do as real estate agents. For full transparency for everybody listening and watching, I make a living doing real estate transactions. I make a commission when somebody buys or sells residential real estate. And so that is the way I make a living. And as you know, my passion and journey to do that is we don't call it a transaction. We call it a journey, because if somebody is aging in place and we want to help them age in place gracefully and safely, but we also want them to know what their options as to maybe it's not the right time to keep that big house with a big yard and all of that. So we really take them on a journey, and through that process, I sell real estate.
Okay.
So that is what that is all about. How many transactions and dollar volumes I do.
Okay. Well, your description of that is excellent as a segue into my, first real big question is that, describe that journey of life that you're talking about. We've already used the word several times right now, but, where's the beginning and where's the end? And it sounds like a process, like you say, a journey. So
Right.
Describe that a little bit more.
Well, I'm going to share 2 stories, if I may, because I think this tells a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I get emotional because they are very, and it's my dearest, most important person in my life. Her name is Linda. We've been together for 15 years, and we are going through this situation. When I say we, because I'm in part of it, I'm very involved. Her ex-husband, he's 66 years old, or 66 years young.
There we go. I like that reframe.
66 years young.
Uh-huh.
And we are now, because they have 2 children by their prior marriage. He is remarried.
Okay.
But we've all come together to support each other, because in 2 weeks, we are having to transfer him from his home to a lockdown memory care. And I will use the F facility word.
Okay.
About memory care, but I'll call it a community, just a memory care living situation at 66 years young.
Jeez.
We don't know what tomorrow brings. So when I talk about that journey, yes, we all think we're going to just do fantastic forever. We just don't know. So I'm not asking everybody to live under a table and live hermitly, but you have to be prepared for what may happen at some point down the road. And that involves your housing, that involves who surrounds you and who's there ready for you to pick up, whether you want to say pick up the pieces or be part of your team as you age, hopefully gracefully in place. So that's one story.
Mm-hmm.
The other story is we did a presentation at a senior living community on what we call right sizing. It's another word for downsizing. Mm-hmm. So what is this? A senior community wants to bring in people from around their area to talk about, hey, this might be an alternative living situation as opposed to living in your home. Would you consider living? And we call them cruise ships and dry dock these days because they have so many.
I love that.
Right. So I do the right sizing routine, and there's maybe about 8 people in the room, and 4 of the people live in the community already. And I'm going, well, I'm thinking like, why are you here to listen to me talk about right sizing? You've already done that. You've already right sized into this community. Mm-hmm. But after my 20-minute talk, the lady calls me over and she goes, I need your help today. And she just has Mr. Greenwald, Ron, she goes, I'm not in good health. I don't have a will. I don't have a trust. I don't have a spouse. I don't have children. And I don't know who to turn to. And this was a highly educated woman. I learned her background and her story. And so it just, again, reiterates to me, it doesn't matter how many degrees we have by our name or how sophisticated we are or what have we done. If we don't have the right people to talk to and communicate with about our wishes and our wants and our dreams, it can really lead to quite a bit of distress. And this woman must have lived in really chaotic situation for many years prior to meeting me, because she ended up being it's a hoarder situation, but she was alone. She was isolated. She wasn't physically well. So when you're in pain every day, your thought process doesn't lend itself to conflict resolution or how do I get out of this? I just need to get to the evening so I can take my medicine so I can go to bed and I wake up in the morning. Mm-hmm. And that's the paradigm shift we have to address in terms of we got to talk to people that it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's powerful. So many things you had to say. I'm just going to reiterate. I love your statement about cruise ships and dry docks. That's perfect.
So they are. As I say, they are.
Yeah. And the thing is with that too is, I often talk about the impact of pain because, as you said, it does disrupt our more rational cognitive decision making when we are distracted by pain, discomfort, isolation, and so forth. And so it's real important that we create those opportunities. And as you said, the paradigm shift. I'm curious, Ron, what's one significant or shocking thing you learned about working with seniors?
The one shocking thing that I learned is that they allow themselves to live in an environment that is so unhealthy and so unsafe for many reasons. And again, I'm not the psychologist. And the reasons could be they don't want their children to know, or they're embarrassed by what's going on in their world, or their children don't care. I mean, it can go either way.
Yeah.
And we have, my business partners and associates and I have walked into literally thousands of homes over the last 12 years, not because the people can't afford to make changes in their living environment. They just don't mentally or physically see it because, again, they're just trying to get through the day and they don't know who to turn to. And again, they can be stubborn. They can go, hey, I'm doing it my way or the highway. The classic story, my father, God love him, passed away 2016 now. So it's been a while, but he lived in a 2-story home. His wife, my stepmom, they had a 50-year second marriage, beautiful second marriage, but she was the caregiver for him. But his mind was clear, but his body was no longer in existence. And so you have a pride where you don't, and I'm going to be very blunt, you don't want somebody wiping your behind because it's humiliating, right?
Yeah.
It had to be graphic. But when I would come to him and I'd say, Dad, I kind of have some ideas that might make your life easier to navigate through this process, this journey. And he goes, Ron, don't treat me like a child. And I would have to back off. Back off. And I could never get that third party person into his life to say, hey, if you're not going to listen to your son, maybe you could listen to an aging life specialist. Or maybe you could listen to a home healthcare specialist who works in this environment day in and day out. So that's the shocking part, is that I hope in my older years that I won't be so stubborn and will seek third-party assistance.
Well, you bring up lots of memories of my own mother who passed in 2016 as well, but we did take her from, talk to her about the options. And unfortunately, she had seen 3 of her sons pass before her, with long-term health conditions, and so saw what it was like. And so she was quite amenable to options, but, moving her from her home, which is hard because she had beautiful gardens, into senior apartment living. But then some things happened, and it was decided to relocate her closer to more family because the burden was falling on a particular sister. And then, again, senior apartments, but then they also had a phased program of assisted living. And then as, things demise even into hospice care. So she never had to leave her residence again, but they shifted in services. And so I was so blessed to have that kind of support for her. But yeah, life happens. So I guess, given what you've talked about so far and your extensive experience with seniors and their families, what are 2 or 3 recommendations you have for the older adult and their families as they navigate through this journey?
Well, one I'll talk on 2 fronts: personal property front and then the real estate front. Obviously, in the real estate front, if you want to age in place, there are small baby steps we can all do, and maybe we can all agree on, that would help you stay safe in your home. So do you really need those area rugs scattered throughout the home? What kind of flooring do you have? Instead of people have arthritis, and what kind of levers do you have on your knobs? There are little things that we can do to help you age in place safely. So, because what happens is that fall in the bathroom, we want to avoid the fall in the bathroom under any circumstances. That is the downhill slide. So from the real estate side, be realistic. You don't have to knock down walls. You don't have to remodel. You can just make some small changes so that you feel safer as you age in place. I love the idea. I tell people, do you go to a doctor twice a year for a checkup? Do you go to the dentist twice a year? Do you get your oil changed in your car every 5,000 miles and rotate your tires? Well, what about a home checkup once a year?
Great
I love
idea.
the idea of somebody spending $500 or $600 once a year to get a certified home inspection to understand what's going on in the home. So again, you don't have large problems that cause you stress. I mean, if you have a leak if you can discover it early on, then it doesn't become a mold problem. And I'm talking real in the weeds there, but those are the things that we see. And once there's, the mold issue, and then, oh, forget it, I can live with it type of thing. And that gets you sick. Then you end up in the hospital. You can see where I'm going.
Yep.
Then on the personal property front is you probably have too much stuff in your home. We've all, the 50s and 60s and 70s was an accumulation of mass merchandise, right? You have too much stuff. So instead of just keeping it all, and if you have children, grandchildren, nieces and nephews, give it away while you can see them enjoy it. Go get the little stickies that, you can go to Amazon and order them and they'll be there in 2 hours.
Yeah.
In the old days, we would go to, I call it old days, Staples, but if you want to go really back, you go to the Rexall drugstore, but we won't go on that one. You get the little sticky and put them on things and have a party and bring all the kids, all the grandkids and everybody and kind of have a little party. What do you want? What do you want? And start distributing things while you have the capacity to enjoy seeing it go to somebody.
Yeah.
Number one thing, don't anticipate what somebody loves to want to take out of your home.
Yeah.
If you had a child or grandchild that you babysat, your grandchild you babysat, and that grandchild has an incredible memory of something that has no monetary value, but has a great emotional value, they may want that. And you'll all be crying and it'll be great. It will be great. And so that's an uplifting. So I forgot the question, but that's my story.
Well, that's okay. You forgot the question because you answered it beautifully.
Tips. So personal property and the real property.
Okay. I can already think of people that I want to make sure I get the link to this broadcast out to them because they're dealing with what you're talking about right now. And so I think this could be very, very impactful. I do want to, you talked about a couple of things. I described my mom's situation, but what are the current options? So I know that I can just see it around my community, and the people I connect with as far as there's so many more options for seniors and their families today that ever existed. Could you take a few minutes just to highlight that? 95%
of the population says, I want to age in place. And okay, so what can we do? And the technology, their Alexa, the Apple Watch. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of how to use the modern technology that all the kids know how to use instantaneously, of how to incorporate that into aging safely in place. So that's a whole presentation onto itself. You can Google.
Well, maybe I'll have you come back then and talk about that.
But the technology of using how to use modern technology, do the lights go on automatically when you walk in the house so you don't have to reach for anything? Again, all the idea of not having to reach, climb on ladders and things like that, but the Alexa Watch, the Apple Watch, Alexa and things like that, to make things happen automatically before you have to do things like that. And then obviously what you can put in the home to make life safer. There's just so much, and it's not the old days, we used to call them grab bars and they were ugly things. But now they're very designer oriented and we call them balance bars. See, again, it's like right sizing, downsizing. Grab bars sounds, balance bars sounds a little bit more attractive. But if you Google that or go online and look for things, they are doing it in a way that adds value to the home as opposed to detract value from the home. So that's my number one thing is there are again, you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to make your home safe and sane while you're aging in place.
Yeah.
And then certainly the senior communities, it's again, and people still use the word facility. People still use the word nursing home, God forbid. They are not. Now, they are not like that. These are, again, getting back to that term, cruise ship and dry dock. They have activity directors. They have chefs that they hire from the Hiltons and the Marriott's hotels to cook for you. Yeah. And the socialization is the part that I advocate.
Yeah.
Eating right and socialization will make a difference.
Yeah.
In your field, in your space, depression is, mental health right now, whether you're young and a 20-year-old or you're 80 years old, depression is a real national epidemic.
Yep.
And socialization can help alleviate that. And certainly diet.
Yeah.
And exercise.
Yeah, I was just going to say activity and exercise are key as well.
These communities, and so right now we're in San Diego, and we have been humbled and just so gracious. The UCSD, University of California, San Diego Retirement Association, which is an amazing 2,000 member strong organization in San Diego, has allowed us, and we're weaving and bobbing through COVID, but it allowed us to take tours. We invite members of that association to take tours of the various senior communities around the county. Why? And we tell them, we understand this may not be for you today, may not be for you from 2 years or 5 years hence. But when the time may be approaching that you want to consider a senior community, you won't be making that decision in a vacuum. You won't be allowing your children, who all fly out from all over the country, in panic mode because you are in skilled nursing, and the skilled nursing environment won't let you move back to your home. Where do you want to go? Yeah. Oh, I remember I toured all of these various communities, and the people that I met at Community Y seemed to be a fit for me. Is that someplace? Can we investigate that? Yeah. I use the analogy of back when we were younger and we were buying our first home and we had all of these home buildings, these large developments. What did we do? We went to visit models, right? Everybody went to visit the model homes. Oh my God, look at that new technology in the 60s. Whatever. Well, again, mindset shift. Instead of going to communities and seeing that as, oh, this is where you want me to go and pass away. Hey, this is a new journey in life. This is a new chapter in life. And look at what they have. They're having games, they're having, camaraderie, they're having all kinds of fun, and use it as, instead of looking at it as a tour event, look at it in that perspective as something uplifting. As a new chapter, as opposed to, talking to the daughter and I'm just role playing. Oh, you just want me to go there so you can get rid of me type of thing. Right. Well, that's not what we want. We want you to have a great end of your life.
Right. Right. Well, you echo so well something I always put out to my speakers and viewers and listeners and in my own clientele, as far as, be proactive. Knowledge is power. Research your options, be informed about what's out there rather than being reactive and stuck, with, less than optimal conditions. And so this is what we're really talking about. Get out there and learn now about where you might want to go, how you might, the next journey, the next phase of your life. And, the world is very different than it used to be. And so, there are just so many options that never used to exist before. And so use the word uplifting. And so I want to echo that as, be ahead of the game and be prepared and have conversations. And sometimes it might mean, just like in your situation, Ron, is that your dad didn't want to hear from you. He felt, being vandalized. And so instead, maybe get a facilitator, get a mediator, get get a team of people who come in and explain the options and make informed choices.
Yeah, just add on to that. And I know we could talk for days on this. And I hate to always use the mother-daughter, but there's usually a mother-daughter battle going on because as men, we kind of go, oh, we'll be off to the side. Let us know type of thing. I don't know why. And again, don't send me a letter or even, Ron, that's not true anymore, but it is true. I've done this for 12 years. Mm-hmm. Daughter is usually the one who's going to not rescue or try to be the one who's, because she has the heart. She's a mom, right? She has the heart. And but again, to try to, okay, mom, we're doing this or doing that, it just causes conflict. There's always, there's always, because again, if there's siblings, there's drama. I don't care. Yeah. Anytime I hear the siblings say, oh, we all get along, I run, because it's not true. You don't always get along. That's impossible. But anyway, so getting the third party experts who do this for a living, who know the words, who know the vernacular, who know how to be, who are compassionate, who are caring, who have empathy, but are also understanding of how to get to the end result. If this is what everybody's agreeing on, how to get there. So attorneys and everybody, the estate planning attorneys and everybody, who's leading the charge to help that couple, that senior mom or dad, achieve the best and highest quality of life. Best and highest quality of life. And we keep that at the top of the mind and forget all the other mishigosh, which is whatever, a term, get all the other stuff. If we just, what is in the best interest of mom or dad, agree. That's we're not all going to agree, but let's get to that point.
Yeah. How can we forge a solution that meets your needs, meets our needs, and that we can feel good about having reached that agreement? Essence of mediation. So, Ron, like you said, we could talk forever about this because we're good talkers anyway. But how can people reach you? Because you play an important part in so many people's lives and they don't even know it yet.
Well, right now, as we're changing up a lot of things, as you know, I'm going to give my Gmail account out to the public. Okay. It's my first name, middle initial, last name. So it's Ronald, Ronald, middle initial L as in Lee, last name Greenwald, Greenwald @gmail.com, RonaldLGreenwald.com. And I'm happy to take phone calls. I don't charge for my time in the sense that if they have a question about who could I contact for mom and dad, I don't charge for any of that consultation time. I just really, I do help people and I meet with people, happy to do it. If you want my cell, I'm happy to do that as well. If you want me to give my cell number out. So. Well,
if you want, that's up to you, your discretion. I can definitely put in the short, show notes if you'd like to.
760-390-0149. And again, I'm happy to chat.
Great. So you offer a complimentary consultation like I do. Yeah. Okay, let's explore options, not a lengthy, consultation, but at least what are your concerns and how can I direct you to next steps? Great. Well, Ron, this has been delightful and we're all going to be there. And so again, being able to educate ourselves about the fact that specialists like yourself do exist out there. If we just apply what we do in so many aspects of our life, like you said, researching homes and going to open houses and viewing models, is that we're just in another phase of our life and it's a different journey.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for having. This has really been an honor. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, because your message is powerful. And again, I can't think of a person that doesn't touch or won't touch at some point in their life.
Aging it's 100%.
It's bound to happen, right? Yeah. Well, thank you again, Ron, and thank you to all of our viewers and listeners. I hope that you got a great deal out of this. Please pass it on. Share this particular episode with anybody you know who might be touched by the circumstances that we talked about here today. So again, Dr. Deborah Dupree, the Mindset Doc, decoding the conflict mindset.
Well, I hope you enjoyed what Ron had to share with us about aging in place. Again, we all have parents at some point in our life, wherever we are in our own aging process. And so it helps to, I like to say, be proactive. Learn and know not only what you might need to know for your parents, but what are your options as we grow older? I know many of you are far, far away from it, and yet for some of us, it's around the corner. And so Ron gives you some insight about how to manage the transition, and we all go through transitions. Well, we're going to stay on that theme of real estate for our next episode, and I'm so excited to have with me Bridget Potterton. She is one of 100 certified divorce real estate experts in the country. She has a prestigious background. She's won numerous accolades and awards I can't even begin to tell you. And she primarily, although not willingly, got into the area of real estate and selling the family home when parties are going through divorce. Not something we'd like to hear or face, but either we've done it ourselves or we know somebody going through. And so Bridget brings to light some amazing things about what to do and how to handle it. It's really an expertise that goes well beyond your traditional real estate licensing requirements. I was quite amazed actually at what they require of real estate professionals in the divorce arena. And Bridget brings to us a lot of wealth of knowledge. She sits on the advisory board for the Salvation Army San Diego, and she's very active in their rehabilitation efforts, and she's also involved in several charities, something that we all need to pay attention to. She works with Blissful Seeds and Be Like You, all located here in San Diego. So don't go away, please hang around.